Navia, Ayaka, Raiden Shogun, Yoimiya. All 4 of these characters are appearing in 4.3, and that means that you free-to-play players are gonna feel it right where it hurts the most. Raiden the Primo Gem. With a brand new character, 2 fan favorites, and 1 underdog returning in 4.3, which of these 4 characters should you be pulling for? The brand new character Navia is going to be a geo-focused DPS character, but let's settle some things here. Even though that she is geo as an element is sort of set aside in Genshin Impact as a standalone sort of element, which it does have a character like Zhongli that can be sort of slammed into any team due to his great, amazing elemental skill and shield and damage shred that comes from this. Most other Geo characters are either defense scaling or a defense to attack scaling ratio, such as Noelle or Yunjin, Arataki Ito, or even Goro. And Navia doesn't really quite fit this mold as a Geo character. So if you're a Geo main account where you just have a bunch of Geo characters leveled, she's not really going to benefit a great deal from a full Geo team. In essence, she's going to have an elemental skill that's focused on the crystallization reaction, where you pick up crystallization shards to make her elemental skill stronger, hitting more and also doing more damage. And this is where the vast majority of her damage is going to come from. She also does have an elemental burst, as well as a way to infuse herself after her elemental skill for a short duration of time. But you're not going to want to shove her into just a mono Geo team. However, she is going to want to have 1 other Geo character in her party, but not really any more than that. And this is solidified due to her talent Ascension, which is going to give her an attack % bonus for having multiple other elements in your party. You're going to want to have 1 Electro, 1 Pyro, 1 Hydra, whatever it is. If you have 2 different elements of those types in your setup, she's going to get an attack % bonus. So if you're interested in Navia for a mono Geo team, you're probably going to want to pass on her. However, she's going to have the ability to utilize a lot of old awesome equipment and also be more flexible than any other Geo character due to the fact that, well, she kind of just slams in any team and is just a big damage dealing elemental skill user. And speaking of old equipment, yeah, she does have her new own unique claymore, because what 5-star doesn't, but she also has the ability to use some old fan favorites like the Unforged, which can give you shield strength to help you increase those shields to keep her safe while she's out on the battlefield temporarily, but it's also going to give you an increased attack % bonus as long as you have any shield. And guess what? Crystallization shards do give you a very small shield, so you can get a lot of attack from something like the Unforged. You could also use something like the Wolf's Gravestone. Basically, any attack scaling DPS Claymore is going to be good on her. If it was high on a tier list for another Claymore attack scaling DPS user, it's probably going to be there for Navia as well. In essence, she's going to have a lot of really good weapon options for you, and there's a brand new artifact set that's coming out in 4.3 that's pretty much tailor-made for her. Sharing her banner is going to be one of the most efficient and free-to-play options for a 5-star DPS in Genshin Impact, and that's going to be none other than Ayaka. At Constellation 0 with decent artifact setups, you can use an Ayaka setup for a ton of damage. Her elemental burst is absolutely insane. She does good charge attack and normal attack combos. Her elemental skill is nice. She even lets you slide around water if you didn't get access to Farina. A lot of the traditional teams that Ayaka has been using since her creation and launch in Genshin Impact are still good here. We're talking about freeze teams or even some melt variations as well. And just like Navia, Ayaka is going to have some very powerful free-to-play options. It's also very easy to build her in a freeze team setup using something like the Blizzard Strayer set, which is going to give you a massive amount of cryo damage as well as crit chance increase. And while the Mist Splitter Reforged, her own signature weapon, which will also be returning, is fantastic for her, just like Navia, she has a lot of great other 4-star free-to-play options. So if you're looking for a very efficient character that's also, in my opinion, pretty fun to play and also extremely easy to build, low primo gems and low resin requirements to get a build for Ayaka going and off the ground, then this character is definitely someone that you should think about pulling in 4.3. The second half of 4.3 is going to be including Raiden Shogun, one of the best characters that you can have access to on your account in Genshin Impact. You can utilize Raiden Shogun as a character in your party anywhere from an energy battery with an off-field electro applier to be used in electro charge teams, or even physical-based superconduct teams, or even overloaded teams. You can also throw her into a hyper bloom team and use her there as well. But that's not all. If you heavily invest into your Raiden Shogun, even at Constellation 0, you can use her to make her your own main hyper carry DPS using the likes of characters like Kujo Sara and Bennett, with someone like Zhongli to do a ton of damage as a hyper carry as well. One of the most flexible characters in Genshin is Raiden Shogun. Whether you're a free-to-play player just getting her off the ground and using her in a Hyper Bloom team with an Elemental Mastery build, or going all in like we just talked about with a hyper carry focused Raiden build, there are a ton of ways for you to utilize this character on your account in Genshin Impact. And if you've acquired Raiden before and you're looking for some constellations, Constellation 2 really does set her aside as a hyper carry character. It's going to give her 60% ignore defense during her elemental burst, which is absolutely insane and makes her one of the best hyper carries you can focus on for some teams in Genshin. And with Raiden returning, so is her unique signature spear, the Engulfing Lightning, which is a fantastic weapon for her. However, if you are a free-to-play player, you will be glad to know that you can go fish up the Catch in Inazuma, which is a fantastic free-to-play option for this character. In one of her best artifact sets, the Emblem of Severed Fate is also shared with the Shimenawa's Reminiscent domain, making it a pretty efficient use of your resin when farming up artifacts for your characters. Raiden Shogun's been one of the characters that I never regretted pulling for in Genshin Impact. I've used this character on my account since I have obtained her. I really can't tell you that this would be a bad option for you. If you have to pick between one of these 4 characters for 4.3, I would probably tell you to go after Raiden Shogun just because of how flexible she is. You're gonna get so much value added to your Genshin Impact account owning Raiden that you would compared to any of these other characters. Yeah, she's just that good. I'm telling you, Raiden Shogun is the way and the truth of Genshin Impact. And if you don't get her, you don't want her, then don't complain to me because this just might be you next. Sharing the banner with Raiden is going to be Yoimiya, which is probably the underdog of this banner coming to us in 4.3. Yoimiya is a super hyper-focused single target DPS character that some may call boring, but I'm going to use the word straightforward. Unlike other single target focused hyper carry DPS that are Pyro, such as Hu Tao, who has some sort of intricacies with knowing at least a little bit of animation cancels with dash canceling and jump canceling to get the most out of your character, Yoimiya is going to be able to be used with very great amount of ease. You're going to use your elemental skill, attack really fast, do a bunch of pyro damage, pop your elemental burst, and leave the battlefield. And even at Constellation 0, you can have fun with some very strong teams, such as vaporized teams or VV Vape. Pure Pyro as well also works with Yoimiya, but you can also use her with Over Vape as well as overloaded teams as well. And there's no need to worry about getting the exact right signature weapon because there are some fantastic 3 and 4-star options for Yoimiya as well. We're talking about the 3-star Slingshot, which is absolutely fantastic for this character, but if you also have access to the 4-star bow, the Rust, that is also going to be insane for your Yoimiya build, as of the vast majority of her damage is coming from your normal attacks. Both these bows are excellent weapons for your free-to-play C0 Yoimiya. There are a lot of powerful options for you to pick from on this banner. I personally am probably going to skip all of them because I think I'm just going to save up for more Farina constellations. And when I say more, I mean more than 0, or even some brand new characters. Like, please, please, please be a character. But you let me know which of these 4 you're pulling for at all down below, which one you're the most hyped for. Hit the channel subscribe button, and I'll be back soon.